Full-time score, Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Liverpool is back atop the Premier League table, and as a fan of the Reds, I'm absolutely enthralled. But this match week has been absolutely insane. This match specifically, I'm going to touch on a lot of controversial calls that happened throughout it, and ultimately, I think that there has to be some discussion had about the general kind of state of the Premier League as the weekend has progressed. First off, the game. How did Chelsea play? How did they show up to Anfield? That's really the story here, right? Not these refs. We talk about the refs every week and it pisses me off, but we have to because they impact literally the most important decisions and wield the power to decide whether or not a goal will exist or not. Aside from the point, let's talk about Chelsea because I think Chelsea were easily the strongest opposition that Liverpool faced this season. Totally. Like full stop. There hasn't been a better side. You could say, okay, Nottingham Forest, they got the win on Liverpool. That's valid, but Nottingham Forest is a side that is going to win games in very particular fashion. They're not going to really win it on a philosophy mindset as much as it's going to be a tantalizing piece of individual brilliance like that of Callum Hudson-Odoi's wonderful strike to, beat Liverpool for Nottingham Forest. But first 20 minutes of this game, Chelsea were relentless. They were splitting lines with passes. They were pressing back Gravenberch into the back four. There wasn't really much Liverpool could do besides hope and try and really just hang in there. And when they got chances, try to connect. What ended up happening was a little less appealing for Chelsea from there on out. Beyond the 20th minute, I think the game kind of got away from Chelsea. Not to say Chelsea were the worst side, but just the momentum of the game, being at Anfield, being against a ref who it felt like he was just getting both, like any single call it wasn't even like a bias. He was just getting it wrong. Like he was straight up incompetent. There's moments where he would blow the whistle late. There's a penalty that could have gone to Sancho that I thought would be, but he didn't even think about it. There is a penalty that wasn't given to Salah, and then there was one that was. But if you look at those penalties, they're like both similar. He gives Salah advantage. Salah goes in the box. Colwell pushes him, and no penalty is given. But then Colwell hacks through Jones, which both in my mind should be penalties. Nothing happens. Regardless of how you see how it was called and whatnot, there is a very, very palpable like tinge in the air of this game is just not going to be maybe the most well managed from an administrative perspective from the officials. But in terms of how it was managed by the coaches, I think this was an absolute chess battle between Arne and Enzo Maresca. I think Maresca came and brought basically the best he could. He did exactly what he needed to do. He made some proactive changes. He did a triple switch. When was it? In the 53rd minute. I thought that was really smart and that really helped Chelsea just kind of retain their abilities. He rotated out Reece James, who started for the first time in almost 10 months today. And I think generally it was a really good showing from Chelsea in the sense that they were really, really just punching above the weight that I think a lot of people expect them this season. I expected Chelsea to be good based on just the fact that even though they are getting a new manager and such, Maresca is not too different from Pochettino in terms of philosophy, generally speaking. There is obviously tweaks. No one's the exact same, but they played a similar enough system to where there could be like a reasonable kind of extension of this similar ethos that Pochettino had started to craft towards the back end of last season, more specifically. Now, with all that said, where did things go wrong for Chelsea? The 29th minute penalty, I think it definitely was a penalty on Curtis Jones. There was one after that got overturned, rightfully so, I would say as well. That one that went through Robert Sanchez's legs was not a penalty. But the first one, I mean, after he didn't give that Salah penalty earlier in the game, I don't think that at all influenced it. But after that, I was pretty like upset with the ref. And very quickly, I mean, Liverpool got in again, and then it was even more of a obvious penalty. But here's where it gets weird, right? Colwell's happy because he's like, "Oh, I got the ball to an extent." He did hack through Jones to get to the ball, but he got the ball, he cleared it. Him and Tosin, like, they're celebrating because he literally just put in a similar challenge on Salah to stop that attack. And now he's being, another kind of physical challenge in the box leads to a penalty. So the players kind of are at a loss at times too, I would imagine. So I don't really feel as bad for them, or I do feel more bad for them, and I don't feel as bad for the refs. The refs specifically, just get consistent, bro. Like, have actual like rules in place to apply a certain level of consistency because I just don't know what to say anymore. Uh Besides the penalty, Jackson scored a goal. It was really, really, really well timed run to get onto that pass. One who assisted it specifically. It was assisted by Moise Caicedo, who, by the way, Moise Caicedo, he was having himself a very, very how do you say, an like wanted night, I guess. Liverpool fans just constantly booing him. He picked up a knock early on, and Liverpool fans are still booing him. Darwin chopped through him once. I'll admit to that. He absolutely just took it out on him, and he didn't pick up a card for that. So we got a little lucky with it. And yeah, I think all in all, Caicedo played really well given like a hostile environment, given that he was, I think, not the starting captain, but he was captain once Reece James was subbed off um, to play the full 90 and to play well while doing it and get an assist. I mean, that's commendable for sure. There's definitely a player in there. The Curtis Jones goal was amazing though. Wonderfully timed, weighted ball by Salah. Curtis totally unmarked, running in from midfield runner goal. A little weirdly taken. He took the first touch and it kind of bobbled up, and then he finished it with the outside as right as he was falling, and then Sanchez kind of fell on top of him, trying to get to it. But all in all, for me, this weekend was absolutely ruined in many respects due to poor officiating. There were some good calls, but a lot more bad calls than good calls, just generally. And the fact that this is becoming a thing, it's wearing on me, on other people. People don't want to like watch a sport that is very clearly not taking itself seriously enough to implement meaningful change. Like, do you get that? Actual change, not, oh, let's keep, like, forget keeping like this kind of like almost like weird cabal of refs that are in a way just twisting the rules of the game to their own personal like preference, and realistically at times only doing so out of protection of the other ref because they don't want to, oh, this guy got the wrong call, or he's not listening to me. So just stupid. I'm sick of it. They need third party regulation. They need a third party body to regulate the Premier League in total, and a third party body to regulate VAR separate of that. In my opinion, that's just the only way we're going to be able to run this, because as of right now, it's sickening. Thank you so much for joining me. Liverpool are top of the table. It's been a wild weekend with tons of red cards, terrible officiating, and just a lot to talk about. So let me know what the biggest moment of this match week was for you. And let me know what you think of Liverpool versus Chelsea. Liverpool winning 2-1 thanks to goals from Salah, Curtis Jones, and a consolation goal from Nicholas Jackson. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.